you happy with your first name? Why or why not? Story 1. I am a Jennifer born in 1973. We are Legion. Edit for further detail. My username reflects that I am not the Jenny you were looking for. I didn't even think about that until after the post. Story 2. No. People assume I'm a black man. I'm a super white girl. This issue has come up during job interviews. They see my name and expect a strong man to walk in, and instead they see a 102 pounds pale redhead walk in, and there goes the job interview. Story 3. Matthew is alright. It's a never-ending battle with Matthews and Matthews, though. I currently work with a Matthew, and we got nicknamed Single T and Double T, which is pretty dope. Story 4. My name is Teresa. I'm 52. The other Teresas I meet are all in their 60s plus. I don't have an opinion on my name, other than it seems to be an old lady name, but I'm kind of an old lady, so I guess it fits. Story 5. Yes, I'm a woman named after my father, but my name is still feminine and common for girls, and when I was a child, that bothered me greatly. In a child's head, you don't want to be named after a man, because you almost feel like that girlhood has been robbed from you because you don't have a girl name. Now that I'm an adult, I love carrying that piece of him with me. My dad and I got extremely close in my teenage years, and when he passed a few years ago it was like I lost my best friend at the same time. I'm still a daddy's girl, and now it's super cool that I'm named after him. Story 6. Yes, growing up I hated it. Nobody could pronounce it right, which used to infuriate me. It cued a lot of teasing. My schools were filled with Sarahs, Emilis, Chloes, etc. So I know my name was dreaded by teachers during roll call. I was so angry at my parents for giving me such a weird name. My sister got a basic name, but I was given essentially a Latin spell. It felt so unfair at the time. I still don't use my real name for food orders, but as I got older, I got compliments on my unique name. Lots of how do you pronounce it? Oh my, that's beautiful. I see it now as something people remember me by. I've learned to see the beauty in it. Thanks Mom and Dad. Story 7. Well, you'll never find my name on any of the souvenir items. At least not how my name is spelled, but if someone ever did give me something with my name on, it would mean more because it would have to be custom made. Story 8. Yes, it's Valerie, which I think is pretty and unique, but not annoyingly unique, like you'll have heard it before, but I'm always the only Val in the room. Story 9. I have quipped thousands of times if you were named my horrible first name, you'd go by your middle name too. Most people, upon hearing the old, southern family name, agree. Story 10. I have always been ambivalent about my name. It's fine but common. However, my mother wanted to name me Alexa Dawn and my dad vetoed that, so I'm grateful, haha. Story 11. Yes, I'm happy with mine. It's a real name that has a unique spelling that is the normal way it's spelled. I was born during the decade of Jennifers, Heathers and Kimberlys, so I'm glad my name was different. I'm also really thankful that my parents changed my name at the last minute. They originally planned to name me Deborah Diane and call me DD. I'd have had to change my name if they stuck with that. Story 12. Yes and no, I like my name, but I found out my mom really wanted to name me Archer, after my father's middle name, but like someone in the family named someone or something similar, so she switched it. I just think Archer would have been cool. Edit ick. Why I feel the need to note that I'm fighting my girlfriend's theoretical baby names. I want something very classic, common, etc. Names like William. She wants names like Bryson. Story 13. My mom wanted to name me after her favorite singer, but her mom said absolutely not, so my mom found a suitable first name and planned to call me the preferred name as a nickname. My dad had no issue with this. I was born, she gave me the suitable name, and things were fine. Until she found a love letter written to my dad from the love of your life. Suitable name. My mom accidentally named me after my dad's ex-girlfriend and my dad didn't say anything. Story 14. I would like to have a Ukrainian first name to match my last name, but my parents thought I should blend, I guess, and gave me a British first name. It's an okay name though. Story 15. I always hated my name growing up because 1. I could never find it on souvenirs and gift shop, stupid reason, but it felt too unique, and 2. My brother and sister would call me Dorcas, Hebrew translation of my name in the Bible, in a mean way, and it made me so mad. As an adult though, I like my name fine, and I'm glad that I don't know a ton of people with the same name as me. Story 16. I'm happy with my first name. Unfortunately, people tend to always mispronounce it and get it wrong. No matter how many times I tell them, they'll still mispronounce it and it gets frustrating. Sad part is that some of these people know how to pronounce it but just choose to mispronounce, so WTF. Story 17. I love it now. It took me 35 years, but my whole life I couldn't stand it. It's very uncommon and unique, and my mother said the doctors corrected what she wrote, was supposed to be Marcella. Story 18. No, especially since my last name is Meyer. Do you know how sick and goddamn tired I am of that jingle? Not really, even less since it's my dad's middle name, although I like it better than my own middle name. I could have been a junior though. At one time I thought that would have been preferable, but I'm definitely glad I'm not. Story 19. I only have this name because it was popular at the time according to my mom. I had like 5 people in my class with the same name and various spellings. After hearing the alternative my parents were considering, no, I do not like my name, but I've had it so long that I'm used to it now. Story 20. No, I have a great Italian last name, but for whatever reason, my first name is Lisa Cost. That was the one baby name the year I was born, and my Sicilian-American dad and German-American mom decided that was the way to go. They didn't even give me an ethnic middle name. In fact, I got none whatsoever to make it easier for me in the future. Meanwhile, when I got older they told me some of the lovely names they'd been considering for me instead of Lisa. Let's just say that made me even more unhappy with what I wound up with. Story 21 I was not, because I was named after a psychopath on a soap opera from the 80s who was bent on destroying the lives of everyone around her. It sounded trashy, I didn't connect with it, and I legally changed my name to something that fits me better as a human being who is not a soap opera stereotype. I'm much happier and feel like me now. I'd ask what my mother was thinking, but she didn't want me, doubt she was thinking. Story 22 Yes, I chose my first name sort of. My given first name was one I never used and didn't even really like. When I turned 13, I chose to take on my grandmother's maiden name that was going to die with her, having used my middle name for my whole life. I bumped it to first place and added a new middle name. Story 23 I love my name, it's Jillian. It's unique enough that I don't hear it all the time, but common enough that people know how to pronounce it. It's often shortened to Jill or Jilly, but I love any version. Story 24 Mostly yes, it's a name common among women over 50, and I'm 34, but it's totally when you consider she's the Roman goddess of the hunt. Also, the goddess Diane supposedly has a crescent moon on her forehead, and I have a huge crescent scar on my belly. It was fate. I'd rather be a Diane at my age than being the fifth Diane in a group. Story 25 Yes, for the most part. I almost had my father's first name, and we really don't have any relationship. Also, if I had my dad's first name, my initials would have been, I like my name, it's pretty, it's unique without being wildly unusual, it has historical roots for our family, and I just feel like it fits me really well. Story 26 Neutral to it. Used to want to change it when I was younger, but now would be weird to change it. It's a very unique name that 99 of people get wrong, but it doesn't bother me anymore. Story 27 Absolutely not. First and second name. First name because 1, it sounds very posh and I am common as muck working class from southeast England. 2, because it has a male counterpart which is much more common, and I am constantly being assumed to be a man when I am a cis woman. My first name is Alexandra. Makes me sound pretentious when I am very much not, and I am constantly being called Alexander, or because I go by Alex I am assumed to be a man. When I was at school a letter was being handed out to specific students in the exam hall filled with my entire year group. The teacher called Alexander and was very embarrassed when I put my hand up. My maiden name is Nash, constantly being spelt wrong, nickname of Nasha from Dennis the Menace etc. And no one can spell it right. My married name is no better. It is 3 letters long and is part of common words and brands in England. People still pronounce it wrong. Story 28 I'm just okay with it, but I think it's funny how it became associated with punching drywall, drinking Monster, and Naruto running into Area 51. Never liked my middle name, and over the past few years I've been wishing I could change my name so I quotient wouldn't be as easily found by or associated with my family. Lots of messed up people in it, and I already physically distanced myself from them. Story 29 My first name is Charles. For the early part of my life I disliked it. Then in my teen years I decided it was better than Charlie, which is what my parents and older relatives call me. My friends started calling me Chuck around that time, and I was fine with that. For years I worked in corrections, where we all called each other by last names either separately or as officer last name, so I didn't really have to think about my formal name much. It was only when I hit my 30s and started my second career that I started going by Charles and felt okay with it. I'm 46 now, and it's fine. Older family still call me Charlie, friends still call me Chuck, current i.e., second wife calls me Charles and gets weirded out at the suggestion of using the variations, so I guess I'm fine with whatever. Story 30 I hate mine for 2 main reasons. First, I have never been called by it. Why name someone something to call them by their middle name? Second, it implies following of a precise religion, and I'm just not quite that stupid. Story 31 When I was younger I didn't like it because people struggled to pronounce it. I used an American version for a few years. Over time, I realized that I didn't want to go by a different name. Even if people struggled, I'd show them how to pronounce it. Some people learned, but others didn't care. Story 32 No, everyone else in the family has a sweet meaning behind their name. Mine was random and given to me specifically so I couldn't have a nickname. So don't believe in nicknames. Story 33 It's fairly unique. I don't know anyone with it personally, but I've seen a few with the same name and my dad got my name from someone he went to middle school with, so there's others out there with it. As for if I'm happy or not, I like it as it's unique, but also I hate how people never pronounce it right, even though it's literally said as spelt. Story 34 I like my first name. It's just annoying when I have to correct someone when they pronounce it wrong, and 9 times out of 10 they pronounce it wrong at least once, if not more times. Story 35 Yeah, my first name's Leo. It's pretty rare where I'm from, but it's not unheard of. I've met around 3 or 4 Leos in all the different schools I've been to. Story 36 Kinda. My name has a lot of alternative spellings and my spelling is one of if not the prettiest out of all of them. Recently and has gone viral where I live that has the same name as me and I've been enjoying all the attention from that as my name isn't really that popular otherwise. Story 37 It's unique enough that there were only 4 of us in the school, common enough that most people have no problem pronouncing it. It does have variations, so I do have to correct folks occasionally, but not enough to be bothersome. It's also pretty, and my dad gave it to me. Story 38 My name is Ukrainian, and though I was born in Canada, people constantly assumed I wasn't Canadian. Plus I got the double whammy of unpronounceable first name and unpronounceable surname, so that was fun. I've since given myself an Anglo name to make life tolerable but kept my surname because it's part of who I am. Story 39, I do like my name. It's not a very common name, but it's also not a what were your parents thinking kind of name. I went with a similar name style for my kids. Story 40, I love my name but I didn't when I was growing up. It's one syllable, and all my sisters had two-syllable names. This is why I don't agree when people say kids don't care about sibsets because I cared so much. I may have been weird though, also there were lots in my age group, but no other group lol. It's like 1988 to 90 mothers went yep, that's our name. Also hated my middle name because lots of bogans used it, but grew to love it because it's from a great song. Also came to accept my family is more bogan than they wanted to be l. Story 41 kinda, I wouldn't change it for anything, but it's constantly spelled and said wrong. When people find out how it's said and what it means, they love it. I also think it suits me wonderfully, but that does mean I had to get my license redone 3 times because they spelled it wrong. I think I would not be me by any other name. Story 42 aside from it sounding like a diminutive nickname, meaning I've had to correct people calling me the grown-up version sometimes, I have no complaints. It's old-fashioned, but it served me well for 66 years. Story 43 I despised my name as a child. No one else had it and I couldn't find it on any souvenir stuff while all my siblings found there's no problem. Now, as an adult, I still haven't met anyone with my name but I love it. Story 44 I don't go by my first name, I use my middle name. I actually love my first name. It's a very unique spelling and it's pretty. It just doesn't feel like me at all. My middle name suits my look and personality more in my opinion. I'm not ashamed of my first though. Story 45 not really, it's always felt too formal for me. That said, I've never really been able to come up with a replacement name I've liked more, so I'm stuck with it, I guess. Story 46 your question is a very interesting way to get people to reveal some real details about themselves that breaks their online anonymity. Anyway to your question my first name is fine, and there are legal ways I can change it if I felt otherwise. Story 47 I was called after my mum. I hated it when I was young because I felt it was old-fashioned. Now I like it. All of the Karens and Sharons that were the common names when I was we seem really dated now. Story 48 not really. I feel like it sounds too soft and cutesy and have been trying to come up with another name for myself for years. I went by Helena for a time in my teens but that didn't stick. Story 49 no. I feel like 15th of the population of America named their male babies my name in the early 80s, and now I'm still turning my head to see who is calling for me 40 years later. Story 50 no because my original name was taken away from me after my adoptive parent changed my name to something that suited her better. I was 5 when I was adopted, so I already had a name. Story 51 no it's common and all the time in school. I had to be known as X last name, never just my first name. Other people with my name got to just have the first name but not me. Story 52 I like my first name, but it was wasted for so many years of my life due to a hated nickname my dad stuck me with as a baby. I've been introducing myself with my real first name for 20 years, but my family still won't drop the hated nickname. Story 53 nope, my first name is Dorothy, which in its ancient Greek form means gift of God. I don't like this English form. There are prettier versions such as Theodora. Secondly, even back when I was born 64 years ago, it was old-fashioned. Growing up I seldom met another Dorothy under 50 years of age, mostly and most importantly. My last name is Scott. So at school I was Dottie Scotty. My Jamaican mother did not know that this was an abbreviation here in the UK. Story 54 first name's fine, but the middle is not one I'm fond of. Mother wanted the middle name as my first, but my father talked her out of it, which I'm infinitely grateful for. Story 55 I love my name. My mom told me if she had a daughter she'd name her Cara. She just always liked the name. Bittersweet is my grandfather singing Cara Mia by Jay the Americans to my mom's pregnant belly. He died 2 weeks before I was born, pancreatic cancer. I cry every time I listen to it. Story 56 yes, my whole name BTW. I have the feminine version of my father's name as first name, and I love it. Middle name on the other hand, it was a bit hard to dig, but today I love it. Story 57 Matthew. I like it, but it's an uncommon way to spell it in the US. Everyone thinks it's my last name on paper, especially because my last name is a common first name. Story 58 I mean I don't hate it, but I'm not attached to it. I was named after my late grandmother and middle name after my great-grandmother. I have never met either of them and my mom never met my great-grandmother either. I'm sure they were lovely people, but I just don't have any connection to the people or the names. They feel borrowed too, like I don't have any name that's just my own. Maybe that's silly id, but at the same time, I don't really have attachments to any other names either or if I do, they're not great names for a human. Story 59 no, it's very unique and no one can ever pronounce it right when they read it. Plus, my mother told me she used to use my first name as her hookup name for one-night stands, before she met my dad, so that they didn't know her real name, so that's cool. Story 60 my name is pretty rare but it's still a very normal English name. I get told very regularly that my full name sounds like a celebrity name and it's very easy to make fun play on words phrases with it. My name is for sure a 1010 and I love it so much that I actually don't know how to give my kids a better name than mine when I eventually have them. Story 61 I'm not unhappy about it. I guess I'm indifferent. The annoying part is that it's spelled a really annoyingly uncommon way, so while it's a pretty normal name the spelling trips up a lot of people. Thanks parents. Story 62 absolutely detest mine. It was the top baby name the year I was born, and I have a very common last name as well, so wish my parents had been more imaginative or that I had the nerve to change my first name when I was younger. Story 63 No, because I was given a first name and then raised going by my middle name, so now it's a pain because I don't go by my first name but doctor's offices and such want your legal first name. Story 64 I don't mind being called Justin, but I never really cared for it. It sounds like a sensitive little boy's name, and sharing it with Timberlake and Bieber hasn't helped. Story 65 I hated my first name when I was a kid but now I love it and think it's the best name. Elizabeth, in case you're wondering, but everyone called me Betsy and I never cared for that. My mom says that at 3 or 4 years old I told her that I didn't feel like a Betsy. I felt like a Liz, which is what I go by now, and have since a couple years after high school. It's so versatile, with a ton of choices for nicknames, but still very classic and professional. Story 66 I don't particularly dislike my name, but I dislike how my parents pronounce it. It ends in 10 but they pronounce it tin, which isn't something that was pointed out to me until I moved away for college. Story 67 I like mine, it's very unique. Other than my aunt whom I was named after, I've never talked to someone with my name, checked Trigade and haven't seen it. I'm afraid to put it in case someone tries to search for me. A common nickname for it is Jody though. Story 68 I didn't like it as a child as it was hard for people to pronounce, but I found beauty in my name when I researched where it comes from and its meaning. It means little boat or a desert rose in Turkish, but I'm not Turkish, because it begins with a J. People have pronounced it as a H and a Y, and I love all iterations of it. Story 69 I'm fine with it, I just wish the rednecks here would pronounce it correctly. My name is Jeremy, not Jeremy Gen Zer, who got called out by Pearl Jam. Story 70 I like my middle name more than my first name, it's prettier. Also hearing my first name just makes me feel like I'm in trouble. LOL my friends all call me by my middle name, while family and work call me by my first. Story 71 I like it, it's who I am, but no one ever pronounces it right. Sometimes after repeated teaching, I get mistaken for a bloke a lot in emails the like. I've considered changing the spelling slightly, which could help, but I can't be arsed. Story 72 I don't know how to explain it. I've always had something about knowing who I am and that made me reject my first name forever. I always wanted a name that really spoke about me and so 7 years ago I started using another one. I simply told everyone that I would change it and that they would start calling me the new one. But I have nothing against the old one, I just don't see myself in it. Story 73 No, besides the fact I've always heard it in a negative tone, I'm just now discovering that my name had zero thought into it, yet all my siblings' names were all thoroughly thought out, so a no great feeling for the firstborn. Story 74 Now I'm an adult, now it's just a name. It was only popular the time I got born, not because of me, but my name is Glenn, and when I was a little boy, the only other Glenn I knew existed was the actor portraying Cruella de Vil. Today every Glenn you see in movies is always some nerd or boring guy, so I wasn't happy with it, but I am now. It's just a name. Story 75 I hate my name. My name is long for Sam. When I tell people my name is Sam they say Samantha, right? I say my dad wanted a boy, my name is Samuel. Get out of here, I hate that stupid joke. Story 76 I really hate people calling my name. I was bullied a lot and they made terrible rhymes with my name. I hear my name, I hear a voice inside me saying who is this with this terrible name, and it's me, it's a common name, Evelyn. Story 77 Middling in my native dialect it's nice, but I immediately betray which part of the country I'm from with my pronunciation leading to many stereotypes, and it's an impossible name for foreigners doesn't matter where they're from, I've never heard someone from another country pronounce it properly. Free internet points for anyone who can guess it. Story 78 Shane the Pain who lives in a drain in Spain, yeah that was a great name to have growing up. My brother used to just call me Pain all the time. A psychologist suggested the babe might have come first, and then I became annoying to live up to the expectation. When Pokemon came out I wanted to go by my middle name since it was one of the characters. It's grown on me as I got older. When I worked in aged care the oldies used to say they loved the name and at least 2 days they wish they banned their son Shane. So yeah I guess I like it now. Story 79 My first name is a throwaway and myself and sibling were specifically named to be called by our middle names. Weird old family tradition that stopped with me. People assume I chose my middle name BC. I didn't care for my first common, and the number of people that are mildly offended that I've rejected theirs or that of a person they're close to is just silly. Also, it's just a pain in your whole life on so many different levels. My natural move upon marriage, as did all the previous females in my family with zero problems, was to drop the useless first name and move middle to first position, maiden last name becoming middle name and aftermarket married name as last, but no says the DMV and other government agencies. Dropping and changing your last name upon marriage, sure thing. Drop first instead of last. No, that ain't happening unless you get a legal name change through the court and not worth the hassle. So, I have 4 names on my driver's license, like some sort of highfalutin European royal, and am still stuck explaining that all the time. I give a PSA to anyone considering doing this. Oh definitely, can't say the same about last name. Story 80 I hate mine. My parents were alcoholics and intoxicated when they named me. My childhood was extremely tough being named David. To this day our relationship isn't the best and I resent my parents for ruining my life. Story 81 When I was born, my parents gave me a name that was not common for girls, My grandmother told my dad that was the dumbest name she'd ever heard. I didn't see my grandmother until I was 3. After that, I was clearly the least favorite grandchild of 6. And I think it might have been based on my name. She was an idiot, and I love my name. I'm the only person I know with my name, besides one other. She is 2 years younger than me, and we do not run in the same social circle, so it's fine. Story 82 now, it's fine. As a kid living in a small town, I wasn't a big fan because it's not super common. I would have preferred being named something normal. Story 83 legal one, no, my preferred one, yes, 3, I like that's it's unique, but I hate that no one ever gets it right, like I have to repeat it several times before they get it. Story 84, I feel like my parents gave me a beautiful name, however it just does not understand any circumstances fit my personality. In middle school my friends started calling me Max and I just went with it. It stuck till now I'm about to be 21. Honestly it's weird hearing my birth name now.